I was told to tend to the fish and meat, which are the two largest parts. Yes, I didn't want to become a cook because I hadn't done that before. Gordon Ramsay has been arrested, had death threats made against him, and gone bankrupt, but nothing could have prepared him for 2016. While still in the belly, his son Rocky died at 5 months. The family never got over it. Gordon later said that they wouldn't have had Oscar if Rocky hadn't died first. That remark made people confused. What did he mean? The answer has to do with IVF treatments, trying for 18 months, and a story from 2008 that almost ended his marriage. There was something different about this time for Tana. And the reason would stay a secret until years later, when Gordon finally talked about it. His birthday is November 8, 1966, and he was born in Johnstone, Scotland. He was the second of 4 children. There was a nurse named Helen who was his mother. Gordon James Sr., his father, took care of swimming pools, worked as a mechanic, and ran a shop, but he could never keep a job. He drank a lot, and over time, it caused the family to fall apart. It was scary for Gordon as a boy. They had to keep moving because they were always running away from abuse, debt, and bad jobs. When his dad got drunk, he lost control and made the house a war zone. His mother was in the hospital a lot. She had to have 57 stitches put in her face after one beating. The cops were called on occasion. The kids were sometimes taken away to keep them safe. Gordon saw everything. He saw his dad break everything they gave their mom to hurt her even more. He saw his mom hurt and cry. Fear crept into their lives like a shadow that never went away. His family moved to Stratford-upon-Avon, England, when he was 5 years old. Things got worse after that. Even more harm came from his dad's rage. Diane, Gordon's sister, brought up how their dad always put the blame on them. Their mom got hurt if they did something wrong. The kids were always scared. Gordon watched as his dad threw away gifts that made him think of love. They lived with that kind of anger inside their walls. Gordon got a job in an Indian diner when he was 9 years old just to get away. His sister also worked there. It wasn't about money. I had to stay alive. He felt calm when he washed the dishes. His mind was clear after peeling potatoes. Only in that tiny kitchen did everything make sense. Everything was broken at home. He saw his dad fail at business after business. They opened a store that went out of business. Gordon worked hard. He learned how to keep going. How to get something, anything, without yelling or getting hurt. By the time he was 12, Gordon had found another way to get away: football. He trained 5 days a week with Warwickshire's under-14 team. He moved quickly and fiercely. He was so good at swimming that he made it to the Football Association Youth Cup. His father never came to watch him play, though, no matter how well he did. Some kids had parents who were happy. Gordy were quiet. He only felt seen in the field. They were like dads to him, since he never had any. He felt like he was worth more the more he trained. He left home when he was 16. They moved into a flat together in Banbury. That was the first time he felt safe. By that time, they had moved more than 10 times. Because his dad drank, cheated, and failed, their life had become hazy. Leave wasn't just brave, it was necessary to stay alive. Gordon signed up for a course in hotel management that same year. It was the first real step he took toward a better life. Besides that, he told himself that he would never drink again. He knew what it could do. Gordon's dream of playing football almost came true when he was 15. He tried out for Glasgow Rangers in 1984, they were his dad's favorite team. He was a tough left back. It was the first time no one had been able to get past him. But everything stopped in 1985, while they were training. His cartilage was damaged when he hurt his knee. He had to have surgery. His sports dreams were over. His dad made fun of him and laughed at how hurt he was. That was a moment Gordon will never forget. In 1986, he went to North Oxfordshire Technical College to study hotel management full-time. In restaurants, he worked part-time as a dishwasher and pot scrubber. which taught them how hard a kitchen could be. The cooks cursed, yelled, and threw pans. But Gordon didn't give up. Even though those kitchens were hard, they gave him hope and a place to vent his anger. By age 18, he was giving his mother money. His dad didn't have a job or any money, but he still drank. Their home kept falling apart because they couldn't pay their bills. Every day, Gordon saw his mom have a hard time. That pushed him even more. He promised once more that he would never turn out like his dad. He finished from college in 1987, when he was 20 years old. That same year, his dad had one of the worst temper tantrums ever. He broke furniture in their house while he was drunk again. It was enough for Gordon. That was the last push. He picked the kitchen over any room in the hotel. Being poor and going through a lot of stress would both be solved by cooking. Along with White, Gordon joined him at Harvey's in London in 1987. Marco was known for how smart and angry he was. It was rough in the kitchen. Gordon and Marco worked 16-hour days together, never taking a break. Marco threw a pan at Gordon's head one day because he thought he had the wrong sauce. Gordon broke down crying in the corner while Marco yelled at him. It wasn't work. There was war. Gordon did stay, though. He found out how sharp perfection could be. He went to Le Gavroche in 1988, which was run by Albert Roux. Roux didn't throw pans, but he did punish people in other ways. A plate was broken one day. He got a $50 fine from Roux, which is almost a full day's pay. Once, he had to clean the floors at midnight after service. Gordon didn't give up, even though there was a lot of pressure. He took it all in, the accuracy, the time, and the taste. Not only did he learn how to cook, but he also worked hard. He went to Paris in 1989 to work with Joel Robuchon. Ramsay slept in a closet made of brooms to save money. He didn't eat much and watched Robuchon do everything. Then he made a foie gras dish one day that didn't have enough seasoning. Robuchon went crazy. He hit Gordon in the head with a hot plate. Everyone saw. Gordon cried once more. Robuchon later said that was the only plate there. Ever since the beginning of his work. Ramsay did stay, though. He knew that the pain was a way to learn. He worked for Guy Savoy in 1990. Ramsay ruined a batch of fish stock one night by setting the temperature too high. Savoy didn't scream. Ramsay was to be locked in a walk-in freezer by his staff. After 30 minutes of shaking and almost freezing, Gordon stood in Chef White's freezing cold kitchen. He almost quit at that point. But he used the pain to feed his fire. In 1991, he went back to Albert Roux, but this time stayed at the Waterside Inn. He was 25 years old. Roux put him to the test by giving him a hard sorbet recipe, which is one of the hardest things to make in the kitchen. Gordon did a great job. Roux was shocked. At that very moment, Gordon was made senior chef de partie. It was the first time someone important treated him with respect, instead of being angry. And it showed Gordon something. Even though he was hit, cold, and under a lot of pressure, they hadn't broken him. They had made him what he was. Ramsay became head cook at a restaurant in Chelsea called Aubergine when he was only 27 years old, in 1993. Marco Pierre White told them about him, so he got the job. But Gordon didn't get along with the owners, David and Rosemary Knight, from the start. They kept trying to find ways to save money, but Gordon insisted on only using the best products. They talked about the budget once a week. And Gordon would yell almost every week at the end. A member of staff said it happened all the time. The owners tried to calm Gordon down while he yelled about beef, cheese, or wine. There were people who didn't want to be in those talks. Aubergine had its first Michelin star by January 1994. There should have been a big party for that. It turned out to be one of Gordon's worst weeks, though. While the Michelin inspectors were there, one of his sous chefs gave them soup that was only slightly warm. He was fired while dinner was being served, and Gordon yelled that mistakes were not allowed. Afterward, the young chef was seen crying outside the diner. From then on, Gordon tasted each plate himself before it left the kitchen. He burned his tongue more than once to make sure the food was really hot. Aubergine had 2 Michelin stars by 1995, but things were getting worse behind the scenes. In secret, the owners wanted to get rid of Gordon and bring back Marco Pierre White instead. No one thought Gordon would do what he did when he found out. He hired a motorbike courier in 1998. The courier broke into the restaurant, stole the order book, and then drove off. Since computers weren't around back then, that book held hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of reservations for months. Gordon said Marco was to blame for the theft. Everyone had faith in him. But Gordon finally said it was him in a magazine interview in 2007. He said the book was still at home, locked up in a safe. In July of the same year, 1998, Gordon did something even bigger. He got 39 of the 40 people who worked at Aubergine and its sister restaurant, Loranger, to quit with him. There was only one person left behind. The owners of the diner were so mad that they sued Gordon for $1 million. They said he had taken parts from the kitchen, unplugged fridges, and broken ovens. According to one cook, Gordon told him that if he didn't quit, people would break him. But Gordon sued back, saying that the owners had messed up everything. Gordon won in the end. He got a payment of $1.5 million. When the restaurants were closed, they lost $15,000 a day, and well-known customers like Princess Margaret and Robert De Niro had nowhere else to go. That cash was useful for Gordon as he opened his own business. In the fall of that year, Gordon opened the restaurant Gordon Ramsay where La Tonnellaire used to be. He kept both of the Michelin stars. But on the first night, his maid left in the middle of a service. Gordon had to clean the plates himself because he was in charge of the kitchen. People could see him yelling and getting wet through the window. That night made him remember that even washing dishes is not a small job in a diner. But 1993 was hiding something else. That same year, in March, Gordon was jailed at Green Park Underground Station for being very rude. After having a few drinks, he was with 2 other cooks. A worker at the station called the police because they heard weird sounds coming from the bathroom. They were all caught and taken to the West End Central Police Station. Later, a representative for Gordon said it was a joke and that one of them had been peeing in the sink. No one knew for years. But in 2004, a newspaper called to ask him about it. Gordon didn't say anything when he hung up. Gordon was interviewed by The Guardian in 1999, which made a lot of noise. He said that women shouldn't work in kitchens because they got pregnant and had periods. Besides that, he said they weren't pretty enough. That was a lot of strong words for the time. Afterward, the BBC said that his ego was bigger than a pavlova and that those sexist words would be hard to forget. In 2001, while shooting Kitchen Nightmares in New York, Gordon made a restaurant manager named Martin Hyde feel bad about himself. Jim made him crawl on the street. In the end, Hyde sued for $29 million. He said that players played customers, rotten meat was put in the fridge, and a broken chair was set up to make a fall happen. The case showed how harsh reality TV could be, and the show was never shown again. In 2002, the following year, Gordon was caught driving while drunk. He went the wrong way down a street that only went one way. He failed the breath test that the police gave him. The case was thrown out, though, because the police forgot to give him a blood test, which was the law. Afterward, Gordon said he wasn't drunk at all and didn't think it was a big deal. He then got into a fight with a contestant named Jeff Lapoff during the first season of Hell's Kitchen in 2004. Jeff quit after calling him a jerk. He was pushed, though, behind the scenes. Jeff hurt both knees when he fell. He later got $120,000 in settlement money. The show only said that Jeff left because he was hurt, they never talked about the fight. In 1999, a film called Boiling Point showed what Gordon was really like in the kitchen. He was very angry and yelled at the staff, broke mirrors, and called the cooks donkeys. In the UK, more than 3.5 million people watched it. It was rough and raw, and Gordon became famous for it. Hell's Kitchen came to the US in 2005. People made raw scallops on the very first show, and Gordon yelled at them. One dish, he said, looked like a camel's poop. 2 people were fired the same night. The show became a hit because people loved it. Gordon went to Amy's Baking Company in 2006 while filming another episode of Kitchen Nightmares. He was very sick after eating a burger that smelled like sewage. He had to stay in the hospital for 2 days. Gordon got 11 gut ulcers after that and stopped tasting everything himself. In 2008, Gordon lost it with a contestant on MasterChef UK because their souffle didn't turn out right. He made the guy do it again at 2 a.m., even though it was late at night. The second try went perfectly. Gordon gave him a big hug and told him it made him very happy. In 2009, a producer messed up the timing of orders on a busy day of shooting. He broke his hand when he punched a concrete wall. He didn't tell anyone, though, and kept recording. For days, he kept the injury a secret from his staff. Since 1999, Gordon has had 2 restaurants. The second one is called Petrus. By 2000, it had a Michelin star. 6 bankers spent more than $44,000 on wine there in 2001. One cook even spit on the wall, which cost $2,300 in damage. In 2008, Marcus Waring, Gordon's top cook, left and opened his own restaurant in the same spot. Gordon kept the Patry's name, but the breakup was bad. Then, in 2009, media reported that Gordon's restaurants were serving food that had been frozen. Everyone was shocked because he had always raged against other cooks who did the same thing. Even though his team tried to protect it, it was already broken. It was seen as dishonest by many. Gordon opened a restaurant in Dubai in 2001. It was called Ver. It went on until 2011, which was a lot longer than most people thought. But he didn't like the decor and kept getting into fights with Hilton managers. The breakup of the partnership was a part of a bigger issue. Gordon lost money all over the world. It was 2008, and his kingdom was falling apart. In just 1 year, debt went from $4 million to $9.48 million. It went from making $3 million to just $383,000. He was behind on taxes by $8 million. He had to get rid of 25 employees and sell his Ferrari. He and his wife's dad put in $5 million of their own money to keep things from going wrong. It was almost too late, though. His fancy bistro in Paris was where he lost the most money. It failed very badly. A loan deal worth $10.5 million was broken by Gordon's company that year. He had to get emergency borrowing just to stay alive. There were 3 floors of kitchens on Next Level Chef in 2022, and the cooks were pushed to their limits. It was one of his bravest TV shows. On paper, the idea seemed crazy. On one floor, contestants cooked in high-tech comfort. In the basement, they had to deal with scraps and were moved up or down depending on how well they did. Some talk behind the scenes said that VR training rigs used on the show would be sued in 2021, but no one could find clear proof. What was real, though, was how dangerous things got. Fights broke out as people rushed to get tools and food. Fox kept shooting season after season with his company, Studio Ramsay Global. They were also giving away a $250,000 prize while they tried to keep everything together. In August 2023, Gordon did something that he had made fun of his whole life, which shocked everyone. This is the name of his frozen food line, which is only sold at Walmart. Everything cost less than $6. Some of the foods were shepherd's pie, lasagna, and fish and chips. A lot of people were shocked. Gordon had been criticizing businesses on Kitchen Nightmares for years because they used frozen food. This time, he sold it himself. Many people said the mac and cheese was the worst they had had in a long time, with tough pasta and mushy bread crumbs. Fans felt lied to online. People were getting mad when he said things like, "Microwaves are for lazy cooks." The harm was done. Gordon made an Instagram post on August 30, 2025, that made people stop and look. He showed a picture of his face with stitches and a wrap around his neck and earlobes. He had just had surgery to get rid of skin cancer. Most of the time, this is what they find: basal cell cancer. It was found during a normal checkup after a very bad bike accident in 2024. His fans were already scared after that crash. Now this. Gordon looked more like a person than ever when he was 58 years old. He joked that it wasn't a facelift and told his fans to use sunscreen, but it was clear that he was scared behind that smile. Gordon came back to MasterChef Australia as a guest judge in April 2025. Even though he had the same amount of energy, something about him felt a little calmer. 8 returning contestants fought in the Keeping Up with Gordon task to show that they were still the best. One time, he gave food to first responders and talked about how food could help people in Melbourne get through wildfires. This time it hit differently. When he said that food could change lives, his voice got a little weak. By 2025, everyone knew Gordon was worth $220 million. He owned 88 restaurants around the world and had huge TV deals. But in June 2024, a bike accident almost put an end to everything. He was riding in Connecticut when he hit a huge hole in the road. He was thrown hard when his bike spun around. His helmet broke. He had blood on his face. His ribs were dark blue and black. For 3 months, he couldn't work. Just to move again, he had to go to rehab every day. He said he wasn't even able to dress himself. Justin Mandel, his cook, had to help him put on pants. He said, "I felt like a 95-year-old man." Gordon had to face the fact that nothing was guaranteed, even though he was making over $60 million a year. Not his body and not his business. She was 18 years old when they met in 1992. Gordon was only making $12,000 a year. He worked 18-hour days and had a terrible rage. He fired 3 cooks in 1 week, but Tana stayed. For the ring he asked her to marry him, he saved money for 6 months. In 1996, they got married with only 12 people present. It only cost $3,000 to have their wedding. When the press found them on their vacation in Bora Bora, it turned into a nightmare. Their hotel changed 3 times. Gordon even took calls from restaurants on the night of their wedding. Grant didn't show up when their first daughter, Megan, was born on May 16, 1999. He cooked at his restaurant until midnight for a star event. Tana gave birth by herself. He got there at 1:30 a.m. with fishy smells and flour on them. He missed everything. The first cry she made was when the cord was cut. He later said it was his biggest mistake. To make up for it, he closed his 2 Michelin-star restaurant in July for a whole day to spend time with Megan. He lost $8,000 that day. He hadn't had a day off in 18 months. Holly and Jack were born just after midnight on January 1, 2000. But Gordon was pulled over for drunk driving in 2002, right after they were baptized. He got drunk and drove his $80,000 Ferrari after leaving a charity event at 2 a.m. He was caught. His blood alcohol reading was 12%. Tana had to pay $5,000 to get him out of jail while taking care of the kids. She was still in her pajamas when she went to the police station at 6 a.m. He couldn't drive for 18 months. The event took place while filming Hell's Kitchen. Scenes had to be done over, which cost the network $50,000. Tana almost turned away from him. Matilda, their daughter, was born in November 2001. Gordon wrote a cookbook just for her. But in 2008, there was an incident that rocked the family. Sarah Simons said she slept with Gordon for 7 years. She said they met on hotel rooms more than 50 times. She had the bills. Room service, jewelry, and champagne. More than 15,000 words were used. The news came out on his 42nd birthday. Tana was expecting at the time. A few days later, she lost the baby. Gordon said there was no affair, paid $25,000 a month for public relations help, and promised to sue, but the damage was already done. In 3 weeks, he dropped 14 pounds. Tana took the kids with her when she left for a while. Tana was 20 weeks pregnant with a boy in April 2016. They gave him the name Rocky, but something went wrong. Everything changed in just 24 hours. Rocky was born living, but he was too little to live. He was a little over a pound. The family was split up. Gordon said that there was no book that could help people deal with that kind of loss. After 2 months, he wrote on Facebook, "We had a terrible weekend. Tana lost our baby when he was 5 months along. Tana was happy in the picture they took a few days before for Megan's 18th birthday. They built monuments to remember Rocky, but they didn't know that her world was about to fall apart. He wears a ring that says his name on it. Jack has a dog tag that says Rocky on it. They gave their house in Cornwall a name after him. Holly, Holly's daughter, got a tattoo for her lost brother in 2023. It hurt even more. Even after many years, Tana would still cry. In 2024, she said that small things could make her feel guilty. Oscar, their 2019 born boy, would ask, "Why can't Rocky come here?" Tana couldn't say anything. "No day goes by that we don't think of Rocky," she wrote on her post for his 5th birthday in 2021. After a lot of losses, Oscar was born through IVF. It cost $12,000 and took 18 months to treat. It made Gordon cry when he held him. He was 52 years old. Before Oscar, Gordon had crashed his mountain bike while on vacation in 2016. In order to miss Jack, he swerved and hit the ground 30 meters below. His nose broke. He had to get 12 stitches. For 3 years, they didn't tell anyone. For 2 weeks, he couldn't shoot Hell's Kitchen. The hospital costs were $3,000. Jesse James was born in November 2023. Oscar was 4 years old and every day he kissed his little brother. The family was getting bigger again. But Gordon said in 2025, "It seems like just yesterday." Rocky's death left a mark on their hearts and on every part of their house. He once said, "We wouldn't have Oscar if we hadn't lost Rocky." There was no one else like them, but there was a link. It was that link that kept them going, even with all the noise, kitchen cleanup, and cameras.